So honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the earth. Today's Father's Day. I do not feel the need to be inclusive. Sorry, moms. Statistically, fatherlessness is probably one of the greatest instruments of destruction in our nation. The numbers don't lie. They tell us exactly what the price of fatherless homes is in terms of crime and poverty, and all praise to those mothers who stick it out no matter what happens. That is just an amazing thing. If this were Mother's Day, I'd have nothing but high praise to say for the mothers who self-sacrifice and stay in there no matter what happens. They're there with their kids fighting bears. But statistically, fatherless homes are a seedbed for criminality, poverty, lostness, depression, suicide. And if you reverse that, if you have, boy, you hate to say it, but truthfully, statistically, the statistics are not on the other side. If you have motherless homes, I'm sure there's a lot of other things that are missing. A lot of that softness, that tenderness, matching socks. But the strength of the presence of a father. And I grew up, just want to honor my dad today. I actually brought a thing up here. I wasn't sure what I was going to work with it, but I was planning something my brother wrote for my father at his funeral called 12 Things You May Not Know About Our Dad. I'm not going to read them all. But my father, as imperfect as he was, showed me and taught me what it meant to be a man from my earliest years. He was a builder, a protector, and a provider. These are the things that he taught me to be when I was little. You're a builder. You're called by God to be a builder, a protector, and a provider. And my father was not one of these people who believed in pacifism. He was a natural athlete, a powerful man, never worked out. At my top strength, I was bench pressing 270 pounds. I could not handle my father. And he was an accountant who sat at a desk all day and didn't work out. It was not fair. At 5'7", he could dunk a basketball. He was incredible. When he was in his early 60s, one of my good friends was the track star for the largest high school in our entire area. That means that of a very large high school, he was the number one runner for the school. And in his early 60s, my father beat him in a foot race so badly my friend quit. I tried to run the other day in a rainstorm to get to the thing and pulled about 6 muscles, had my shoe fall halfway off. I rolled in the road in front of a car, and I thought, if I was my dad, I'd be home right now. Oh. He stood in the gap for my mother. The last thing you ever wanted to do on this earth was to be a threat to my mother, even as one of her kids, as my brother will attest one day when he told my mother to, quote unquote, shut your mouth, and didn't realize that my father was home until he was flying, not like Superman, across a room. I sat there with my mouth. He did not realize my father was standing beside him when he said it. When we had a young man in our neighborhood who took some issue with my mother, she had pneumonia, and he kept turning on the water faucets on the house. So that with pneumonia, she'd have to go out and turn off the water faucets. And so my father came home one day to catch him. And he saw this kid go, and my father went out the back door. He ran down the street, and my father went across, all those little metal fences, little wire fences? My father hurdled them across the yards as we sat and watched, cutting off this kid as he came around the corner. My father was not a pacifist. I had a young man point a gun in my face one time in our neighborhood. I came home and told my father. My father went out looking for him. And the kid stuck the gun in my father's face. And my father knocked that gun out of his hand and almost introduced him to the Heavenly Father. He was a worker. He labored hard to provide for his family. I never seen anybody work so hard in all my life. The hours that he would keep, the energy that he expended. He did not know how to stop working. Somehow he got this idea that you had to finish the job before you stopped working. I always figured you just stopped working when you didn't want to do it anymore. But he taught me to stick it out, to be there, to face my fears. He would never let me run away from something I was afraid of. ever. If he found out I was afraid of something, that's where he was putting me, right there. You're going to conquer this. He always taught us to be kind. He went once to a men's conference in Providence, Rhode Island, came home with a homeless man who was unconscious. He got up the next morning and went to work. We woke up, it was summer, so we just woke up late. We come downstairs, and there's a homeless man on the couch. We don't know where he came from. My father didn't bother to tell us, he just went to work, but here he was. That man ended up staying with us for weeks, as my father dedicated his life and his energy to restoring him. And his life was changed forever. He was never 100% because he was really messed up. But his life was changed forever because my father saw people in need, saw other men struggling. He saw men who were lost, who were confused, who didn't know what it meant to be a man, and he would bring them under his wing. He would spend his time and his energy teaching them to be a man, like he taught us to be men. Masculinity is not toxic. Masculinity is God's gift to the family. And I want to honor fathers today. God bless you. Your work is important. Be a builder, a provider, and a protector. If you like what you're hearing today, please subscribe below. And don't forget to share it on as many platforms as you can. And tell your friends to watch. Thank you.